Hey, Matthew Mercer here. I'm a voice actor as well as a Dungeon Master for Critical Role, and I'm excited to just jump in here for a minute and chat a little bit about my love of birds for this Bird Lovers Gathering. I was not expecting to be a bird person. I didn't grow up with birds. I was very much a cat and dog person, at least from my personal experience. And I always had this interesting perspective that birds just didn't seem as interesting or emotional or as just personality driven and easy to connect with, like I saw other normal pets you see in the mainstream. And it wasn't until that me and my wife Marisha, of our first year anniversary, celebrated the inclusion of our wonderful green sheet conure Dagon into our life. And immediately the depths of personality, the nuance in both tone of voice and physicality. There was so much personality, so much more than I ever expected. And just a unique, quirky, hilarious, weird, wonderful inclusion to our family that neither of us, I think, expected to fall in love quite so deeply. And I realized at that point that not only was I completely wrong my entire life, but I am thoroughly a bird person for the rest of my life. What surprised me most about sharing my life with a bird? For me, it was the depths of affection. You often see them as solitary and maybe occasionally like preening each other, but the fact that something so small could cuddle and coo and rub against you and crave that sort of bond and physical connection. At times I was like, my bird thinks it's a dog, but no, it's a bird, and that's how just a lot of birds are if you bond with them. And I didn't expect to have such a strong, caring and loving bond with a bird ever. And it's just so special. What advice would I offer to people regarding birds, bird companionship? They are hard work. They're a lot of work to cultivate that bond. They need attention. They need care. They need light. They need to, be maintained just like any other pet, but they have more sensitive systems. So you want to make sure that you do a lot of research about what things can hurt, like birds' respiratory systems, as far as like chemical usage in the house, and see what's safe and what's not. Because they are such wonderful emotional creatures, they need socialization. They need to spend time with you. They need to spend time feeling like they're part of the family, if you will. So even just putting the cage somewhere where they are around people socially and can feel included in the energy of the day-to-day life is a very healthy thing. And they're challenging. They're temperamental, and not all companionships work out in the way you think. They might bond with somebody else in the household, so you have to be ready to just adapt and not expect them to follow a prescribed notion of what companionship is, because they are their own wonderful, weird, quirky creature, and they have their own choices and wants and needs. And so you have to approach it from the standpoint of know that this isn't a pet that you bought to be your best companion. This is a wonderful creature that can become your companion, but you have to put in the work, and you have to also respect boundaries and give it time to really find its comfortable space in how you live with it day to day, and let it flourish there. What type of birds I've had share my home? It's only been Dagon. Only Dagon's shared our home with us. I was lucky enough to have a bird in my life when she came into ours, and I definitely would consider in the future having more birds in our home, because it's just such a wonderful thing. Preferably away from my recording booth, is that the volume could be a bit of a challenge if you're trying to keep things quiet for purposes of voiceover. But yeah, I've completely fallen in love. I've gone over the hump, and I adore birds personally. My happiest or funniest bird moment? Oh my goodness. God, Dagon was so just filled with weird personality and curiosity. She was always checking out what things are going on, and like kind of chirping curiously and looking like what's going on over there, and leaning forward, and the physicality, the way that she would just lean, the strength of the muscles on the legs to where there was just like this full like stretch and lean with the one eye forward whenever she really was interested in what's happening. It was so adorable, and it was wonderful. I think it was a scary but funny moment I do recall was when we were in our old apartment for Marisha's birthday. I got her one of those like metallic balloons that you get at the grocery store. So happy birthday on it. And it got free at one point and just kind of floated up to the top of our kitchen. And it was a tiny apartment, but we had a higher ceiling in the kitchen, which was nice. And it sat there for like a month. We couldn't really get to it, so we're just gonna wait for it to come down. And for that month, Dagon just sat there in her cage with a full view of that, looking at this, like the moon in Majora's Mask, this dark silver entity that just sat there staring at her day to day. And yeah, I guess we kind of laughed because occasionally she'd be over staring at it and giving the sound of like disapproval. And then came the day that it finally, the helium within it began to diminish and it began to float down. And she just flipped the fuck out. Pardon my French. She went nuts, squawking and getting like, oh God, it's the end of the world, it's the apocalypse. And we felt bad for her, but like you could tell exactly what was going through her mind by the tone of her voice, by her physical actions, and we immediately took it and removed it. But we couldn't help but laugh. And she was fine after that, and we calmed her down. She was pretty tough bird. She didn't freak out too often. But that one moment, watching her less scared and more like trying to warn us that the balloon was coming to destroy us all, was pretty humorous. Scariest bird moment. Birds are curious, and you want to make sure that if they like to wander, you keep attention of them if you're leaving the cage open to like let them out and sit on a perch. We did have a moment where a friend brought their dog over, and when we were talking, we didn't realize that Dagon had kind of climbed out of her cage and kind of scooted down the side to go inspect this new creature that was there. This tiny dog immediately looked up and saw our bird and snatched her. Immediately, my wife screams. We rush over, manage to ensure that it didn't get any worse than just snatching away from the cage. She kind of twisted her leg a little bit, and we immediately took her to the vet. And thankfully, nothing broken. It's more of just a muscle sprain, but it was extremely frightening. And the poor thing was so scared. We just wrapped her in a blanket and calmed her down and took care of her for a few weeks until she got better. But it was another important reminder that especially if there are mixed animals in the household, to always have an eye on where your bird is, because they are wonderful, beautiful creatures who are extremely fragile. So that was very scary. Favorite bird species? Oh man, I mean, I always grew up loving like African greys and the big parrots, the big intelligent parrots, because I thought for a long time that they were like the intelligent birds. Dagon made us fall in love with conures and showed just how much intelligence there was on the hookbills, regardless of their size, really. Aside from that, I love budgies and lovebirds. They're so adorable. I love their socialization. Bonding habits are just incredible. The sounds they make are so cute. Love cockatiels. I mean, because of Dagon, I have to go with conure as a personal favorite, but those are all periphery, definitely. For me, any other things I'd like to share? I just want to put forward how wonderful it is to have a bird. To make sure to temper your expectations and do it when you have the time and energy and effort to put the work in, because it is work. Some, experiences might be easier or harder than others. And unfortunately, a lot of birds out there get brought into families with different expectations, and then at the first sign of any challenge, they end up being returned or abandoned. And it's a horrible thing that continues out there. So just, I as I tell you how wonderful birds are, also make sure that you're in a place where you are ready to put in the work to make it happen, because it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. But it's worth the effort to research and to do so when you can be the best partner to this bird as you hope to get from them. So I think that's my last little anecdote, but I love them, and I'm excited to come on here and talk with these wonderful people about it for a bit. So thanks so much.